Hello everyone, welcome to another lecture of the course Digital Signal Processing. In the previous lectures, we have been looking at the faster implementation of discrete Fourier transform, and we had seen two algorithms, that is decimation in time fast Fourier transform and decimation in frequency fast Fourier transform. So in this lecture, let us try to compare both of these approaches. Moreover, we claimed that these approaches are faster, but we didn't say how faster, and we didn't give any reason that how faster these or why we are claiming them to be faster. So let us try to answer that question in this lecture also, but before that let us try to compare both of these approaches one by one. So for comparison, we will start with the basic starting point for both of these approaches, and the basic idea about them was just go on splitting them into two parts, that is even and odd. But the starting point for both of them was quite different. So in decimation in time fast Fourier transform, our starting point was this x of k, and we went on splitting this x of k into two parts till we get 1 point dft, something like this. So initially we had this n point dft, then we split them in two parts, that is even and odd, and then we got this n by 2 point dft. So in this example here, the value of n is equal to 4. So here we have 4 point dft. Then by splitting into even and odd parts, we are getting 2 point dft. Now we again go on splitting them into two parts so that we get a 1 point dft. So here we get a 1 point dft like this. So what kind of advantage are we getting here? So this n point dft is split into two n by 2 point dfts, and if we observe carefully, both of them are quite independent. Even if we observe these equations here, that is x even of k and x odd of k, so this equation here, that is x even of k and x odd of k, so we can observe that this is dependent only on the even values of this n, or even values of the argument here, whereas this x odd of k is dependent on only the odd part or the odd values of this x of odd values of the argument of this x. So both of them are quite independent, and therefore we can just calculate them in parallel. So instead of calculating n point DFTs, we are going with n by 2 point DFTs. So obviously the time required for computation of this would be quite less. Similarly, if we go on splitting them further and get and come down to 1 point DFT, then the time required would be quite less. So what we do here, we just go on splitting them till we obtain the 1 point DFT, and we know that if we are left with a single point, then that point itself is the DFT of that point. So at the end here, what we obtain is the 1 point DFT, and the inverse DFT is that point itself. So at the end we are left with this x of n sequence. So starting from x of k, we split them till 1 point DFT to get this x of n sequence. Now if we observe this x of n sequence here, so it is not in the proper order. So it's x of 0, x of 2, x of 1 and x of 3, and we saw that it is in bit reversed order. But here we are getting this x of n and not x of k, whereas we require this x of k that is to be obtained from this sequence, that is x of n, and therefore we require some kind of back tracing. So here we require back tracing. So that we are able to get the value of x of k from this x of n. And we had also seen how this back tracing is done in the previous lectures. Now let us move ahead and look at the process that we take or consider in case of DIF FFT. So these are the equations that we obtain from DIF FFT, and the starting point in DIF FFT is x of n, and we repeat the same process of splitting that we have done in case of DIT FFT, but by considering the initial point as x of n. So the initial point here is x of n, which is again n point sequence. Then we go on splitting them further in the even and odd part, and we go on splitting it till we get a single point DFT. So again we have here a single point, and the DFT of this single point is that point itself. So what we get here is the final sequence of x of n or x of k. Now again, the x of k values that we are obtaining at the end are x of 0, x of 2, x of 1 and x of 3. So therefore the x of k values that are obtained are in bit reversed form. Now in DIF FFT we had considered x of n as the starting point, and we are getting x of k as the output here, so there is no need of back tracing. So in case of DIF FFT there is no need of back tracing. Now if we compare both of these approaches and observe here, the sequence of x of n that we consider is in bit reversed order, whereas the output that we are going to get is the normal order, that is not in bit reversed form. Whereas in case of DIF FFT, the input, that is x of n, is considered in the normal order, whereas the output or the value of x of k is obtained in the bit reversed form. So we have something like this: input x of n is in bit reversed form and output x of k is in normal form for DIT FFT, whereas in DIF FFT input is in normal form whereas the output is in the bit reversed form. Now if we observe this thing here, and by intuition we can say that if we consider x of n in normal form, then we may get the output, that is x of k, in bit reversed form, like the thing that we are having in case of DIF FFT. But is it so? Let us try to understand it with a simple example. So we will consider the same example that we have used earlier, that is x of n as 1, 2, 3, 4 with this 1 at 0. So in this case we need to find the 4 point DFT, and we would be using the algorithm DIT FFT, and we know that for DIT FFT we need to go for bit reversal at the initial stage, but we are not performing bit reversal initially. So the question is the output that is the value of x of k, will it be in bit reversed form? We had already solved this example earlier. So we had considered the So we had considered this kind of structure with bit reversed form, and the output which we had obtained was 10 minus 2 plus j2 minus 2 minus 2 minus j2, and this same sequence we had obtained for both DIT FFT as well as DIF FFT. Now let us consider the case where the input sequence is not bit reversed, that is we consider x of 0, x of 2, x of 1, x of 2 and x of 3 in the given sequence, that is consider 1, 2, 3, 4 as it is. So if we perform the calculations and check the output, then we get this sequence. So let us try to understand this. So at this end, at this point, the output would be given as 1 plus 2. So that would be equal to 3. At this point it would be 1 minus 2. So that would be minus 1. At this point it would be 3 plus 4, that is 7. At this point it would be 3 minus 4, that is minus 1. Now at this point the output would be 1 plus 3 into W4 to the power 0. So that is 3 plus 7 into W4 to the power 0, so that comes out to be 10. At this point it would be minus 1 minus W4 to the power 1, so that comes out to be minus 1 plus j. At this point it would be 3 minus 7, so that comes out to be minus 4, and at this point it would be minus 1 into W4 to the power 1 into minus 1, so that comes out to be minus 1 minus j. Now if we compare both of these sequences, so these are not at all same. So what we are doing here, we are not considering bit reversal, and therefore the sequence of input that we are considering is somewhere wrong. So instead of finding the DFT of this input sequence, that is x of n equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, we are basically finding out the DFT of 1, 3, 2 and 4. So the input sequence that is being considered here is 1, 3, 2, 4, where this 1 is located at 0. So if we perform the bit reversal initially for this sequence, that would be coming out to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically if we don't perform bit reversing, we are finding DFT of this sequence, and obviously DFT or the Fourier transforms are unique for every signal, and therefore the Fourier transforms of these two signals will not be same, and therefore what we conclude is bit reversal is a necessary step for DIT FFT. So this bit reversal is necessary step for DIT FFT, and it is a mandatory step, and it has to be done in order to get the proper output, that is x of k, and that we have seen in this simple example. So let us move ahead and try to compare the structures that we obtain for 4-point DIT FFT as well as 4-point DIF FFT. Both of these examples we had already seen previously, and if we look at both of these structures, then we can say that both are flipped versions of each other. So the first observation that we can make here is both the structures are flipped versions of each other. How can we say that? Now if we observe the input of this DIT FFT structure, so this input is in bit reversed form and the output is in normal form, whereas in DIF FFT we have input in the normal form and output in the bit reversed form. Moreover, in the stage 1 we have 2-point DFTs, that is we are combining the points in the consecutive 2 points. So we are combining consecutive 2 points, and the twiddle factor we are considering is W2 to the power 0. So we are having basically 2-point DFT here. Similarly, in case of this DIF FFT, the last stage, or in this case the stage 2, is having the 2-point DFT with twiddle factors as W2 to the power 0. That is, we are combining the consecutive 2 points, or grouping the consecutive 2 points like this. Similarly, in this stage 2, we are having the twiddle factor as W4 to the power 0 and W4 to the power 1, and we are considering 4-point DFT. Whereas in stage 1, we are having W4 to the power 0 and W4 to the power 1, and we are considering the 4-point DFT here. Moreover, if we look at the location of the twiddle factor, that is also some kind of flipped. So if we consider this line as a mirror, both of these structures can be considered as the mirror image of each other. So we can say that both of the structures are quite flipped version of each other. Another thing that we need to check is the number of butterfly structures that we have in each stage. That is, if we consider the stage 1 and count the number of butterfly structures, so we have 2 butterfly structures in stage 1. Similarly, we have 2 butterfly structures in stage 2. If we look at the DIF FFT, again we have 2 butterfly structures in stage 1 and 2 butterfly structures in the stage 2. So in both of the cases, number of butterfly structures is 2. Now if we try to generalize them, so this 2 is basically 4 by 2 or n by 2. So in general this 2 can be written as n by 2. And we had already seen that the number of stages that we are going to get in both of these cases is given by CL of log L to the base 2. So number of stages can be calculated as CL of log L to the base 2, whereas it can also be written as log of n to the base 2. So this CL log L to the base 2 basically gives us m, and we have m as 2 to the power m. So therefore log n to the base 2 will be again giving us back this m factor, and therefore we can write CL log L to the base 2 as log n to the base 2. So therefore this is the number of stages that we are getting in both of these cases. So here what we observe is both of the structures are exactly flipped versions of each other. Number of butterfly structures that we obtain are n by 2 in each stage, and the number of stages that we have is log n to the base 2. So the total number of butterfly structures can be given by n by 2 into number of stages, that is log n to the base 2. So now let us try to analyze the individual butterfly structures for both of these algorithms. So this is the butterfly structure for DIT FFT, and this is for DIF FFT. We had already seen that both of these are mirror images of each other, or both of these are exactly flipped versions of each other. So now we need to check the complexity or the number of additions and multiplications for both of these algorithms. So for that, as we are considering these butterfly structures, so we need to analyze what are the number of additions and multiplications required in each of them. So if we observe here, so these 2 points are basically indicating the additions. So this point here and this point here indicate additions, and therefore what we observe is the number of additions is equal to 2. Similarly, if we observe this structure, again we have these 2 points here. So they indicate additions again. So therefore, number of additions is equal to 2. Now let us try to find the number of multiplications. So we have a multiplication here, that is we multiply this x odd of k into wn to the power k, that is with this twiddle factor. So we have one multiplication here, and we are not going to consider the multiplications by these scaling factors, that is 1 and -1. So the total number of multiplications at each butterfly structure is 1. Similarly, we have a multiplication here, and we are not going to consider the multiplications by these scaling factors. Therefore, number of multiplications is 1. So what we have is something like this. For one butterfly structure, so this is for both DIT and DIF FFT. We have number of additions is equal to 2 and number of multiplications is equal to 1. So this is what we have looked here. Moreover, we have seen that the total number of butterfly structures is n by 2 log n to the base 2. So total number of butterfly structures is equal to n by 2 log n to the base 2. Therefore, total number of additions would be equal to the number of additions for one butterfly structure into the number of butterfly structures, that is n by 2 into log n to the base 2. So that comes out to be n log n to the base 2. Similarly, total number of multiplications is equal to 1 into n by 2 log n to the base 2, and that comes out to be n by 2 log n to the base 2. So this is what we have obtained here. But if we compare it with the number of additions required for DFT, so the basic DFT equations for DFT, that is basic equation, number of additions was equal to n into n minus 1, and number of multiplications is n square. And in this case, in case of the FFT, or more specifically it is radix 2 FFT or DIT FFT and DIF FFT, the number of additions we have obtained as n log n to the base 2, and number of multiplications we have obtained as n by 2 log n to the base 2. So let us try to visualize the number of multiplications for normal DFT as well as the radix 2 FFT using a plot where on the x-axis we have log n to the base 2 and on the y-axis we have the number of complex multiplications. So this blue plot indicates the regular DFT algorithm, whereas this red plot indicates radix 2, fast Fourier transform algorithms, that is DIT and DIF FFT. So if we observe this point here, that is when log n to the base 2 is equal to 6, so we are getting less than 500, or it is moreover less than 250 number of multiplications, whereas if we look at this point here, that is for the normal DFT we are around 4000 multiplications. So this difference is quite high, which means that the number of complex multiplications required for this radix 2 FFT is significantly lower as compared to this DFT, and therefore the time required for the computation of this radix 2 FFT is significantly less, and therefore we can say that this algorithm, that is DIT and DIF, is actually a faster implementation of this DFT algorithm. So in this lecture we have looked at the comparison for the DIT and DIF fast Fourier transform implementations, and we have seen the complexity of both of them. We saw that the number of additions required for normal DFT was n into n minus 1 and number of multiplications was n square, whereas the number of additions that we require for radix 2 FFT is n log n to the base 2 and number of multiplications is n by 2 log n to the base 2, and we observe that these number of multiplications and additions for radix 2 FFT are significantly lower as compared to this normal DFT, and therefore the time required for computation of this algorithm is significantly less, and therefore it is actually a faster implementation of DFT algorithm. So let's stop here. Thank you.